nowhere came the president's son-in-law together with Steve Witkoff, and he brought these two in to handle it. It perplexed me. We have a Secretary of State named Marco Rubio. Why wasn't he the one involved in these negotiations? Nonetheless, these two were involved in the negotiations. This is completely politically incorrect. I'm not speaking for Tony or FRC. I'm not speaking for Jack or for this wonderful church. But I was very concerned because of the historical nature of the relationships that both Mr. Witkoff and Jared Kushner had with Saudi Arabia and with Qatar. Because Qatar is the #1 funder of terrorism in the world. The #1 nation state of terrorism in the world is Iran. So they're twin nations that are twin partners in terror. Iran is the chief sponsor of terrorism. Qatar is the chief funder. You need to know this about Qatar. Qatar is only 330,000 people. That's it. It's the size of Pittsburgh. That's Qatar. They have 2 million slaves that work for them. They take their passports away from them, but it's only 330,000 people. So why are they such smarty pants? Qatar. It's because they have money. They control 14% of the natural gas in the world. 330,000 people. These are the richest people in the world in Qatar, some of the richest. And so one thing that I do know, they believe very strongly in political Islam. And so they are all about advancing, conquering the world for Islam. They're very committed. So they put their money where their mouth is. They're the chief propagandists in the world. So then what happened in the last few months from America? President Trump's first foreign policy trip was to meet with Qatar, with Saudi Arabia. Of the 19 hijackers who took down the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and Flight 93, 17 of the 19 were Saudis. So we're trying to have a relationship with the Saudis and the Qataris and Syria. The self-appointed president of Syria was #4 on the terror watch list. We were offering $10 million for the scalp of this guy who appointed himself the head of Syria. And when President Trump went over, this terrorist put on a suit, trimmed his beard, changed his clothes, and President Trump's in a photo shaking hands with this guy. And I just thought, this is a little shocking to me. You normally don't see something like this. But there's been a lot of private deals done, financial deals with people who are involved in foreign policy. This is very unusual. If you have Qatar's junior business partners conducting American foreign policy with them, especially regarding Israel, I've never seen anything like this before. So I'm standing back trying to watch what's going on. So then the plan comes out, and this made all the bells go off in my head, because contained with the plan is the understanding that Israel, that by the way, they were within 2 weeks of winning this war with Hamas. They already controlled 80% of Gaza. They were just right there coming in for the victory. Go back to World War II. We soundly defeated Imperial Japan, soundly defeated Nazi Germany. So when that happened, they're clear winner, clear loser. That's what you need in the Middle East for the Arab mind.
That's
the
right.
Arab mind needs to know there's a clear winner, clear loser, and by the way, the loser loses land. That's how the Arab mind works. So just about as Israel is reaching the goalpost, in comes our envoys, Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and say, wait, stop it. You can't win. Sorry, we're not going to let you win. And so now we're going to have a ceasefire. And now we're going to negotiate. And in the negotiation, Israel, you're not getting control over the land. You're not getting it. And by the way, if the Arabs do everything right, there's a hint they might get their own state out of this deal. Judea, Samaria, and maybe Gaza for their own country. I mean, this is like shocking stuff. Absolute barbarians, murdering, raping barbarians. They're going to get rewarded, and Israel's going to get what? 20 emaciated people back? That's what they're getting out of the deal? 20 emaciated people and dead corpses? That's the deal they're getting? after they've lost the lives of 2,500 people in 2 years in this nation, when we saw one miracle from the hand of God after another, week after week after week, you saw the miraculous hand of Almighty God win and defeat Hezbollah, defeat Iran, defeat in Yemen, defeat every enemy on 7 front wars. We watched the Bible play out for the last 2 years, and God was victorious over Israel's enemies. And just as we have the weakest of all enemies, Hamas, and Israel's about to go and defeat them, because again, Israel is handcuffed. We, the United States, we were the bad guys for the last 2 years. Under the Biden administration, America handcuffed Israel and told them, you're not allowed to win. You can't win. And we denied them ammunition. We denied them weapons. We made Israel's life miserable. That was under Joe Biden. Then when President Trump came in, it took a long time to ramp up to get them the weapons and the ammunition. But then weirdly, out of nowhere, Jared Kushner re-enters the scene. What had he been doing? He struck a $2.5 billion deal with the Saudis and the Qataris when President Trump left office the first time. Okay, that's his thing. That's what he's doing. But you're going to bring him back in to negotiate the deal? Somebody who has financial arrangements on the line and is a junior business partner of Saudi Arabia that's clearly been involved in terrorism against the United States, and Qatar, which is actively involved in terrorism. And you should know this, by the way. You wonder why American students, Christians, conservatives have turned against Israel? I'll tell you why. It's because for the last 2 years, it's documented, Qatar has spent over $200 billion in America targeting your kids and targeting you. They spent it on American newsrooms, on influencers, and in academic institutions. So all those riots at Columbia University paid for courtesy of Qatar. Not just Soros, Qatar. Okay, so why is American policy that we're going to allow that? Why is it that 2 weeks ago, President Trump announced an executive order that we, the United States, are going to give a NATO-type guarantee to Qatar? Anybody who attacks Qatar, America is going to defend Qatar. In what universe? Why? This just came out. Just this week it came out. I love Pete Hegseth. Went to church with him since he was in high school. Beautiful believer. But he had a meeting where he was with, I think, his counterpart from Qatar, saying that now we are going to host Qatari F-15s in Boise, Idaho, on an American air base. So why are we rewarding the chief funder of terrorism, the nation that has housed and hosted Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood, a radical terrorist organization? That's right. Why are we rewarding them when their goal is, and they've been propagandizing our students against Israel? Why are we doing this? So I'm asking these questions and thinking, I don't know, I'm looking at this 20-point plan, and they're talking about taking away Israel's land, which would violate Joel chapter 3, that's right, verses 1 through 3, and perhaps take away control, or at least, at minimum, allowing Israel the right to annex, which means to put their sovereignty over Judea, Samaria, which since 1967, Israel owned Gaza, and they've owned Judea, Samaria. So under international law, this is their land. And now it looks like under the Trump plan, the plan is saying, yeah, Israel, you've owned it since 67, but Gaza, we're going to sever that off, and we're going to give it to Qatar, and we're going to give it to Saudi Arabia, and we're going to give it to all these wealthy Arabs. Right. You paid the blood and treasure, but we're giving it to them. In what universe? And Judea, Samaria.